The street was almost silent when Araya's shaking voice broke through the night. "Sir, I think your daughter's not breathing." Her phone nearly slipped from her hands. The voice on the other end didn't sound like a father. It sounded like someone expecting bad news. Araya pressed one palm against Tessa Caldwell's chest. Nothing. Her pulse felt like the faint tick of a dying clock. The girl's skin was cold, almost blue under the flickering Peachtree Street light. A siren cried in the distance. Cars passed by, their headlights brushing over Araya's face, but no one stopped. Atlanta felt too big, too loud, too busy for a girl on the pavement. "Who are you?" the man's voice demanded through the phone. Araya swallowed. I just found her. I think she fell or something. Please, you need to come fast." The line went quiet for a beat too long. She thought he'd hung up, but then he said something that made her chest tighten. "Did she tell you anything before she collapsed?" The question was wrong. It wasn't what a worried father should ask. The way he said it was sharp, careful, like words chosen to hide something. "No," Araya whispered. She didn't say anything. Her stomach knotted as she looked around. A black SUV idled at the corner, its headlights dimmed, engine low. Someone was inside watching. "Sir, please hurry," she said again, but the line clicked dead. The sirens drew closer. The noise felt both safe and dangerous at the same time. Araya stepped back as paramedics rushed in. Cameras flashed from somewhere behind her, reporters already sniffing a story. She tried to explain what happened, but her words came out in pieces. The girl on the ground, the call, the SUV. But even as she spoke, she could tell they weren't really listening. Someone led her away from the scene. Another officer asked her name, her age, where she lived. Every word she gave felt like it went into a file she'd never see again. When she looked back, Tessa was being lifted onto a stretcher. For a second, the billionaire's daughter opened her eyes, just barely, and mouthed something Araya couldn't hear. It looked like one word: run. Then her body went still again. The paramedics shut the ambulance doors, and the red lights faded into the night. Araya stood there, her hands stained with someone else's fear, her phone still warm from a call that didn't feel over. The black SUV rolled away slowly. And for the first time that night, Araya felt the weight of a truth she couldn't name yet. Something about this wasn't random. Something about this was met. The next morning, every trace of what happened, every photo, every mention, was gone. When Araya woke up, the sun was already cutting through her blinds, but it didn't feel like morning. It felt like something had been erased. Her phone buzzed nonstop through the night, but every call came from blocked numbers. She checked her news feed. Nothing. No headline about a girl found unconscious on Peachtree. No updates. No pictures. Nothing. A billionaire's daughter doesn't collapse in the middle of the street without the whole internet knowing. Unless someone wanted it that way. She scrolled again. Still blank. Her hands trembled as she opened her contacts. The number she called last night, the one from the emergency ID tag around the girl's wrist, was gone. Deleted. Her mom called from the kitchen. "Araya, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." She couldn't even answer, because that's exactly how she felt. Before she left for school, she opened her front door and froze. A small black envelope sat neatly on the step. No stamp, no address. Just her name written in silver ink. Her first instinct was to drop it. But curiosity had always been her flaw. Inside there was a short note written in block letters. "Thank you for helping my daughter. For your safety, forget what you saw." At the bottom, a small silver emblem, a stylized letter C carved into wax. Her breath caught. It was the same symbol from the luxury cars downtown, the Caldwell family crest. For a moment she couldn't move. She felt watched again. Her neighbor's windows seemed to stare at her. She looked around the street, nothing. But when she turned to go inside, she caught a flicker of movement. A man in a dark suit leaned against a car at the end of the block, pretending to scroll his phone. He wasn't from this neighborhood. Her heartbeat quickened. She tucked the letter into her backpack and left for school, but her thoughts wouldn't slow down. Why delete the news? Why the warning? Why her? In the hallway, a few classmates whispered when she passed. Someone showed a picture on their phone, Araya standing near flashing red lights. Someone must have taken it last night. "Hey, that's the girl from Peachtree," one boy said, half joking, half scared. "You in trouble or something?" Araya forced a smile. Just wrong place, wrong time. But inside she knew it wasn't that simple. During lunch her phone buzzed again, unknown number. She stared at it until it stopped. Then it buzzed once more, this time with a text. "Did she tell you anything?" Her chest tightened. No name, no punctuation, just those words. She deleted it fast, afraid to even breathe. That night, she sat by her window watching the street. The same black car from earlier parked 2 houses down. The man inside never got out. Atlanta didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a stage, and someone had turned on the spotlight. When Araya finally went to bed, her phone buzzed again on the nightstand. This time it wasn't a message. It was a photo of her, taken through her window. Beneath it, a single caption glowed in red text: "We warned you." The photo glowed in the dark like a threat. Araya's reflection stared back at her. Same bedroom, same windows, same pajamas she was wearing right now. She dropped the phone so fast it hit the carpet with a dull thud. For a second she couldn't move. Her throat tightened until breathing hurt. Someone had been outside, watching. She crawled toward the window and peeked through the blinds. The street looked calm, too calm. No headlights, no cars passing, no sounds except the low hum of a distant train. Then, just for a moment, a flash of light, like a camera, blinked from the shadows near the oak tree. Her heart pounded. She yanked the blinds shut and grabbed her baseball bat from under the bed. Her mom was still at work, doing the night shift at the hospital. If someone came in now, there'd be no one to help her. She dialed 911 with shaking hands. "Atlanta PD, what's your emergency?" "There's someone outside my house," she whispered. "They sent me a photo of myself. Please, you have to send someone." But as she spoke, the lights in her room flickered once and died. Her voice cracked. "Hello? Are you still there?" Static. Then silence. The line went dead. Araya's hands trembled as she crept to the window again. When she dared to peek out, the car that had been watching all day was gone. Only the faint smell of exhaust lingered. She stayed up the rest of the night, gripping that bat like a lifeline, the photo still open on her screen. By morning, her mom came home, exhausted, holding a coffee cup and a look of worry. "Baby, what happened to you? You didn't sleep?" Araya tried to sound normal. "Just school stuff. Couldn't rest." She didn't mention the picture, or the black envelope, or the call, because something told her this went beyond the police, beyond anything normal. At school, everyone buzzed about rumors. Someone posted a blurry video of the ambulance scene from Peachtree. The caption read, "Mystery girl saves billionaire's daughter." The clip was only 6 seconds long, but it had already hit 20,000 views. The comments section was chaos, half calling Araya a hero, half calling her a liar. She scrolled through the replies until one made her freeze. "At Caldwell Watch, stop talking before you disappear like the footage." Her phone slipped from her hand again. Later that day, a counselor pulled her aside. "You've got a visitor," she said softly. Araya followed her into the main office, expecting her mom. But standing by the door was a man in a gray suit and dark glasses. He smiled politely, but his eyes never did. "Miss Johnson," he said. "My name's Mr. Yates. I work with the Caldwell family. Mr. Caldwell asked me to check on you personally." Araya felt her pulse spike. "Why?" "Just gratitude," he said smoothly. "He's thankful you helped his daughter. That's all." But when he handed her his card, she noticed the same silver C embossed in the corner. "Don't worry," he added. "No one will bother you again." That night, Araya found another envelope in her locker. Inside, no note, no signature. Just a photo of Tessa Caldwell lying in a hospital bed, eyes closed, machines surrounding her. Across the bottom, in faint red ink, it read, "You were never supposed to see her." Araya realized the message wasn't a warning. It was a countdown. The next morning, Araya made a decision. She needed proof. Whatever this was, it wouldn't disappear quietly. Not again. She skipped her first class and took the MARTA downtown, to the same block where she'd found Tessa. The smell of rain clung to the air. The same lamppost flickered above the same cracked sidewalk. But this time the whole corner was spotless, like nothing had ever happened. No blood, no broken glass, not even police tape. The only reminder was a faint mark where the ambulance tires had burned rubber. She looked up. The nearest building had a security camera. She crossed the street and buzzed the front desk. A middle-aged clerk looked up from his monitor. "Can I help you?" Araya flashed her best nervous smile. "Hi, I think there was an accident outside your building a few nights ago. Do you still have footage?" He frowned. "Footage got wiped that night. Power surge hit the system." Her stomach dropped. "Every camera on the block?" He nodded. "Every one. City said it was a glitch." Araya turned to leave but stopped when she saw a janitor watching her from the hall, an older man with weary eyes. When she met his gaze, he mouthed, "Don't ask here." He followed her outside 10 minutes later. "You didn't hear it from me," he said quietly, "but that girl, Tessa, was seen with a man before she fell. Black suit. No face caught on camera. Who was he?" "Don't know. But I saw the car. Same kind that came this morning asking about you." Araya's skin went cold. "They were here?" He nodded once. "Said they were from the city. But they weren't." She thanked him and left fast, her nerves unraveling. The moment she reached the train platform, her phone buzzed again. A known number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello." A low voice replied, calm and distant. "Stop looking, Araya. You're walking into something you don't understand." "Who is this?" Silence. Then, he found out. The line went dead. Her hands trembled as she stared at the screen. Those were the same 3 words Tessa had texted before collapsing. Araya's chest tightened. The puzzle pieces were rearranging, but the picture they made looked deadly. As the train roared into the station, she caught her reflection in the glass, tired, frightened, but no longer passive. She whispered to herself, "If they think I'll just forget, they picked the wrong girl." She didn't notice the suited man 2 cars down, watching her through the reflection, Mr. Yates smiling faintly as the doors closed. The rain came heavy that Friday, washing the streets clean but leaving the city restless. Araya didn't go home after school. She couldn't. Her mind kept replaying that voice on the phone, he found out. Instead, she went to the one place that ever made sense when the world didn't, the Midtown Youth Shelter. She'd volunteered there for months, tutoring kids and sorting donations. It was quiet, safe, and full of people who didn't ask questions. But tonight, the second she walked in, something felt off. The lights were dimmer than usual. The front desk was empty. "Miss Marla?" Araya called softly. A woman appeared from the hallway, her gray hoodie damp with rain. She smiled faintly. Araya, baby, it's been a few days. You okay? Araya hesitated. You remember that girl from a few weeks ago? The one who came in saying her name was Lena? Miss Marla's eyes shifted. The quiet one? Blonde, pretty, kept looking over her shoulder? That's her, Araya said quickly. She wasn't who she said she was. Miss Marla frowned. What do you mean? She's Tessa Caldwell. The older woman froze. As in the Caldwell girl? Lord have mercy. Araya nodded. She came here like she was running from something. Said she couldn't go home. That if anything happened, I should tell someone it wasn't an accident. Miss Marla sank into a chair, rubbing her forehead. I knew something wasn't right with that child. She paid cash for a cot, stayed 3 nights, then vanished. Left this behind. She opened a drawer and handed Araya a folded slip of paper. On it were 2 words written in shaky ink. Trust no one. Araya's throat tightened. That was hers. Marla nodded. And she asked if we had a computer. Said she needed to send something before he tracks it. But the Wi-Fi was down that night. What did she send? She never said. Araya stared at the note. Her pulse quickened. There had to be more. Do you still have her things? Marla reached under the desk and pulled out a plastic bag. A few clothes, a pair of sneakers, and a cheap flip phone with a cracked screen. Araya powered it on. The battery blinked red, but one message glowed on the screen. Drafts 1. She opened it. The unfinished text read, Dad, if you see this, it's too late. They're watching you. I'm not safe in the house anymore. Don't. The message cut off there. No sender, no timestamp. Araya looked up, heart pounding. Miss Marla, do you have a charger for this? Before the woman could answer, the shelter door creaked open. A man in a long coat stepped in, shaking off the rain. He smiled politely. Evening. I'm looking for a girl named Araya Johnson. Araya froze. The same deep voice from the phone, calm, composed, and wrong. Miss Marla's hand went for the phone, but the man raised his palm gently. Don't bother. The lines are already cut. Araya clutched the flip phone and bolted through the side door into the storm. The man didn't chase her. He didn't need to. His voice followed her into the night. Tell your mother to stop digging too. Araya's feet splashed through puddles as she ran until her lungs burned. But when she turned back, the man wasn't there. Only a single black car idled under the streetlight. Inside the car, through the rain-streaked window, she saw a familiar face watching her, Mr. Yates. Araya didn't go home that night. She ended up in the back corner of a late-night diner off Ponce de Leon, soaked to the bone, trying to charge the flip phone she'd stolen from the shelter. The waitress, a tired woman with chipped nails, slid her a cup of coffee. You look like you seen a ghost, honey. Araya forced a smile. Something like that. The phone flickered to life, showing 1 bar of battery. She scrolled through the contacts. Only 1 number saved, Elliot C. She hesitated, then opened the message app. The last message Tessa typed, the unfinished one, was still there. But something new appeared beneath it. A sent message. Stop pretending, Dad. I know about the trust. Araya's stomach flipped. The trust? She Googled it fast, but nothing came up except banking ads and random links. Whatever it wasn't public. A few booths away, 2 men in dark suits entered the diner. They sat without ordering, one of them glancing her way. Araya unplugged the phone and stuffed it into her jacket. Her pulse raced as she slipped out the back door and ducked into the alley. Her phone buzzed again, the flip phone, not hers. A new text appeared on the cracked screen. You shouldn't have opened that. Her blood ran cold. She dropped the phone, but another message flashed before it hit the ground. You're next. For a moment, the world spun. Then she realized something. The phone wasn't connected to any service. No SIM card. So how were the messages appearing? Araya backed away, trembling. Maybe the phone had been hacked, or maybe... Headlights swept across the alley, cutting her thoughts short. A black SUV screeched to a stop inches from her. The passenger door opened. Mr. Yates leaned out, calm as ever. "Get in. Now." She froze. He sighed almost kindly. "If I wanted to hurt you, you'd already be gone. Please, Araya. Before someone else finds you first." Against every instinct, she climbed in. The door locked automatically. "Where are we going?" she asked, voice shaking. "Somewhere safer than this." The city blurred by. He didn't speak again until they reached the edge of town, a sprawling glass hospital surrounded by security lights. He parked, turned to her and said, "You want answers? Go inside. Room 309. But understand something first." "What?" "The truth won't set you free this time." He unlocked the door and let her out. When she stepped inside, she saw her reflection in the glass door, and behind it, through a hallway window, the pale face of Tessa Caldwell lying in a hospital bed. Still unconscious. Still hooked to machines. But the monitor beside her showed something new, a video playing on loop. Security footage from Peachtree Street. And in that footage, Araya wasn't the one finding Tessa on the ground. She was the one standing over her. The screen froze on Araya's face, and then from behind her in the hallway, a voice whispered, "Told you not to look." The elevator hummed low as it climbed. Araya's heart thudded in rhythm with it, steady, slow, then too fast. She didn't know why she was still following this trail, only that something inside her wouldn't let go. When the doors slid open, the hospital hallway looked almost unreal. White floors that gleamed like glass, fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly overhead, the smell of antiseptic and fear. She found room 309. Through the glass panel she saw her, Tessa Caldwell. Pale. Motionless. Machines breathing for her. Araya stepped inside. The sound of the heart monitor filled the silence. A slow, steady beep. She moved closer, every part of her trembling. "Tessa, it's me." "Araya," she whispered. "You have to wake up, please. I don't know what's happening, but I think someone's..." A soft creak interrupted her. The bathroom door at the back of the room was slightly ajar. Araya froze. A shadow moved behind it. She swallowed hard, reaching for the door handle. "Who's there?" The door swung open, revealing a woman in hospital scrubs. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled tight, eyes too calm. "Sorry, sweetheart," the woman said with a faint smile. "Didn't mean to startle you." Araya stepped back. "I didn't know anyone else was in here." "I'm her night nurse," the woman said. "Tessa's stable for now." Her voice was flat, rehearsed. Araya nodded slowly. "How long has she been like this?" "Since the accident. Her father visits daily." "Does he know I'm here?" The nurse's eyes flickered. "He will soon." Araya's stomach turned. Something in that voice didn't sound right, too deliberate, too knowing. The nurse moved closer, straightening the four-line. "If you care about this girl, leave her story alone." Araya stared. "What do you mean?" "Some people pay to stay invisible," the nurse said softly. "And some of us get paid to keep them that way." Before Araya could respond, the nurse slipped a folded note into her hand and walked out. Araya unfolded it, heart racing. "Don't trust Yates. Look under the bed." She dropped to her knees. There, taped beneath the frame, was a small flash drive. No label. Just a smear of dried blood. The hallway light flickered. Outside the room, she caught sight of Mr. Yates standing near the nurse's station, pretending to make a call, eyes locked on her the whole time. Her pulse surged. She slipped the flash drive into her pocket and ducked out a side door, barely breathing. Down the stairwell, she could hear footsteps following. Heavy, deliberate. She ran until she hit the basement, dark, cold, lit by a single buzzing light. She pushed open the nearest door, finding an empty office with a computer. Hands shaking, she plugged the flash drive in. A folder appeared instantly. The Trust, Project A. Inside were dozens of photos, each labeled by name, age, and city. All girls, all around her age, and one of them her own photo. On the screen, under her picture, the label read, Subject A, 13, next target confirmed. Araya's breath hitched as she stared at her own face on the monitor. Same hair, same clothes, same terrified eyes. She scrolled down. Beneath the photo was a file name, peachtreefootage.mp4. She clicked play. The video was grainy, taken from a street camera. At first, she saw what she remembered, Tessa lying motionless on the sidewalk, her hair matted with blood. But then the angle shifted. The camera zoomed in, almost as if someone was controlling it in real time. In the frame, a second figure appeared behind her. Not Araya. A man in a hooded coat holding something metallic. He bent down, injected something into Tessa's neck, then vanished into the shadows. Moments later, Araya ran into view, breathless, confused, calling 911. Her chest tightened. The video had been edited, the top corner timestamp blurred out. Someone had cut frames. Someone had rewritten the truth. She downloaded the clip, but before she could eject the drive, the computer screen glitched. A message flashed. Unauthorized access detected. The cursor began moving on its own, deleting files one by one. Panic surged through her. She yanked the drive out, shoved it in her pocket, and bolted for the door. Upstairs, alarms started blaring. Red lights pulsed through the hallway. She ducked into a maintenance corridor, panting, then froze when she heard two voices echoing down the hall. Caldwell wants her contained. Alive. For now. Her heart stopped. She crawled behind a linen cart as two security guards passed. Not hospital staff, but men in black suits with earpieces. She waited until their footsteps faded, then slipped into the stairwell. As she reached the first floor, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, "We know where your mother works." Her stomach dropped. Mrs. Johnson, her mother, was a nurse at Grady Hospital across town. Araya didn't think. She sprinted out the emergency exit and into the cold night air. Rain pelted her face as she ran toward the nearest bus stop, clutching the flash drive like it was her heartbeat. She didn't see the camera mounted across the street, a small red light blinking. Inside a dark surveillance van parked nearby, a man's voice murmured, "She has it." Another voice replied, calm and deep, "Then she's already dead." Back at the hospital, the nurse who warned her turned off Tessa's life support and whispered, "Forgive me." Araya barely slept that night. Her small apartment on the city's east side felt colder than usual, every sound amplified. The hum of the fridge, the drip of the faucet, the faint echo of sirens in the distance. She sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, staring at the flash drive. It had survived the system wipe, but something about it felt alive, like it was watching her back. She took a deep breath and connected it. This time she didn't click the files directly. She copied them to her desktop first. A few transferred fine, others disappeared the instant she dragged them over. Then a new folder appeared by itself. Recovery initiated. Her pulse quickened. The folder opened automatically. Inside were images she hadn't seen before, aerial shots of hospitals, foster homes, even a few high schools. And one file labeled Phase 4, Atlanta. When she opened it, her chest constricted. There were lists of names, dozens of girls, and next to each a date and status code. 11, transferred. 12, missing. 13, pending extraction. 13. Her code. She scrolled faster until she saw something worse. Her own address. The room began to tilt. She slammed the laptop shut and looked around. Every shadow felt alive. Every window seemed to breathe. Her phone buzzed. It was Micah, her childhood friend and part-time IT student. "Yo, you okay? I saw your story go viral," he said. She forced her voice steady. "Micah, listen. I think someone's tracking me. I found something about a group called The Trust." He went silent for a moment. "The Trust? Wait, that's not." Static. Then his voice warped. "You shouldn't have said that out loud." The line cut. Her phone screen flashed white, then black. Everything on it, wiped. Araya froze. "No, no, no." The lights flickered out. In the darkness, the faint sound of tires screeching outside. She crawled to the window and peeked through the blinds. A black van was idling across the street. Her instincts screamed run. She grabbed the flash drive, a hoodie, and bolted out the back door. Rain poured again, heavy and cold. Down the narrow alley, she could hear boots splashing in pursuit. 2, maybe 3 men. She turned sharply and climbed a rusted fire escape, heart hammering. From the rooftop, she looked down. They were scanning the alley with flashlights. Then one of them raised a radio. "Target A-13 confirmed." Her breath caught. She dropped flat against the roof, tears stinging her eyes. For the first time she understood. She wasn't caught in the middle of something. She was the center of it. As dawn broke, she turned her head and froze. Another flash drive lay beside her, taped under a rooftop vent. Same color. Same bloodstain. Only this one was labeled, Phase 3, Mom. By the time the sun rose, Araya was already on the first bus to Grady Hospital. Her hoodie dripped with rain, her hands trembling around the second flash drive. Every part of her wanted to believe it was fake, that this nightmare wasn't bleeding into her mother's world. But when she reached the hospital, she noticed something strange. The security guards at the entrance weren't the usual ones. Their badges didn't say Grady. They said Atlas Security. She walked in anyway, forcing a calm smile. "I'm looking for Mrs. Johnson, nursing department." The guard's radio crackled. "Copy that. She's on floor 6. Something in his eyes made her chest tighten. When the elevator opened, she slipped in fast and hit the emergency stop between floors 3 and 4. Then she plugged the flash drive into her phone with an adapter. It opened instantly, this time no warning. Inside, confidential reports, old hospital records, and a name she never expected, Evelyn Johnson. Her mother's name. Beneath it, a header, Project A Origin. Araya scrolled through pages of scanned files, research documents, medical reports, DNA data, and then stopped cold. Her name was listed under a section titled Successful Integration Subjects. Below it, a chilling note, genetic code derived from donor E. Johnson, viable for phase expansion. Her voice cracked. What is this?" She felt her throat tighten, her heart racing too fast. Her mother wasn't just working in the hospital. She was part of whatever created the trust. The elevator suddenly jerked back to life on its own and continued upward. When it opened on the 6th floor, Mrs. Johnson was already waiting, her face pale, eyes red. "Araya," she said softly, "you shouldn't have come." Araya's voice trembled. "Mom, what did you do?" Mrs. Johnson stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Listen to me. They've been watching us for years. You were never supposed to find out." "What are you talking about?" "They created you, baby. You weren't born the way you think." The words hit like gunfire. Mrs. Johnson grabbed her by the arm. "We don't have time. They'll be here any second. You have to go to the old community clinic on Peachtree. Look for a woman named Dr. Sloan. She can explain everything." Araya's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, please." The elevator behind them dinged. Two men stepped out, same suits, same earpieces. Mrs. Johnson pushed her daughter toward the stairwell. "Run, Mom. Go." As Araya ran, she heard the men shouting and her mother's voice rising in defiance, followed by a gunshot that echoed through the corridor. She didn't look back. Outside in the street, Araya fell to her knees, blood soaking her sleeves, her mother's necklace clutched in her hand. Attached to it, a key engraved with one word, Sloan. Araya reached Peachtree Avenue just before nightfall, still shaking. The sky burned orange over the Atlanta skyline, but all she saw were fragments. Her mother's blood, that key, and the name Sloan. The old community clinic stood between a pawn shop and an abandoned diner. Its windows were boarded halfway up, and a faded banner still read, "Free Health Services, EST 1994. She hesitated before entering. Inside it smelled of bleach and dust. Faded posters about flu shots hung crooked on the walls. The reception desk was empty, just a flickering lamp and a jar of pens. "Hello," she called. A voice came from behind her. "You took long enough." Araya spun around. A woman in her 50s stood in the hallway, sharp gray eyes, salt and pepper curls tucked under a surgical cap. "Dr. Sloan?" The woman nodded. "You look just like her." "My mother?" Sloan didn't answer immediately. She motioned for Araya to follow her down a narrow corridor into what looked like a storage room. Metal shelves lined the walls, stacked with folders and dusty medical files. Sloan shut the door, locked it, then placed a tablet on the table. "Your mother warned me this might happen. I hope she was wrong." Araya's voice broke. "They killed her." Sloan's eyes softened. Then it started again. She pulled up a folder on the tablet titled Project A Origins. "Do you know what the trust is?" Araya shook her head. "They began as a medical research foundation," Sloan said quietly. "Your mother worked with them back when she was a nurse in Chicago. They were experimenting with a therapy that could modify genetic illnesses in black children, immune deficiencies, blood disorders, things that were killing our kids at higher rates." Araya leaned in. "So what went wrong?" "They realized those same genes could be enhanced," Sloan said, her tone darkening. "They turned a cure into a weapon." Araya felt her stomach twist. "You're saying I'm one of them?" Sloan nodded slowly. "You're the 13th and last surviving subject from the early trials. Your mother volunteered her own DNA to protect you. She didn't know they were building something much bigger." Tears welled up. "And now they're coming after me." Sloan reached for a metal case under the table. Inside lay a black hard drive with a red seal. "This is everything they've hidden: research, files, proof. But the encryption can only be unlocked by two biometric signatures, yours and your mother's." Araya's breath caught. "But she's—" "I know," Sloan said. "Which means the only way to open it is through what she left behind." Before Araya could respond, the clinic's power flickered. Sloan's expression hardened. "They found us." The lights went out completely. A sharp hiss filled the air, gas leaking from a vent. Sloan yanked open a back door and shoved Araya toward it. "Run. Get to the train depot, locker C-17. You'll find what you need there." Araya turned. "What about you?" Sloan smiled sadly. "My part in this ended a long time ago." The sound of boots thundered through the hall. Gunfire erupted, glass shattered. Araya sprinted into the cold night, clutching the hard drive as the clinic exploded behind her. the shock wave throwing her to the ground. When she looked back, flames rose into the sky, and the sign that once said free health services now burned into a single haunting word: free. She crawled to her feet and saw a man watching from across the street, face hidden but wearing her mother's necklace. Rain began to fall again, thick and cold, washing ash down the pavement. Araya stood frozen, staring at the man across the street. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there under the streetlight, rain dripping from the silver chain around his neck, her mother's necklace. She called out, "Who are you?" The man tilted his head. "Someone your mother trusted once." His voice was calm, too calm. He stepped closer, the glow from a passing bus revealing a scar across his jaw and a deep weariness in his eyes. "She told me to find you if she couldn't," he said. "My name's Lennox." Araya hesitated. "Prove it." He held up a small medical badge, cracked and faded. "Johnson, Chicago trial, 2008. Her breath hitched. "That's her old ID. "She saved my life," Lennox said quietly. "I was one of the test subjects before they shut it down." Araya's throat tightened. "You mean, before me?" He nodded. "Before you they had 12. We were supposed to be the future, stronger, faster, more resistant to disease. But when the trial started failing, the trust erased us. I was lucky to get out." Araya studied his face. He didn't look like a liar, just someone who had seen too much. "Dr. Sloane's dead," she said. "They burned the clinic. She told me to find a locker at the train depot, C-17. Lennox's eyes widened. "Then they're close. We have to move now." They slipped through the dark streets, avoiding cameras and patrols. Lennox moved like he'd done this before, sharp turns, quiet steps, never staying in the open too long. At the train depot, the smell of oil and steel filled the air. Freight cars clanked in the distance. Araya found locker C-17 and slid in the key from her mother's necklace. Inside lay a metal box wrapped in a cloth. She opened it and gasped. It was a vial of blood. Her mother's blood. Lennox whispered, "That's her biometric signature. The last piece you need." Before Araya could respond, headlights flared from behind a row of containers. Lennox grabbed her arm. "Run." They darted through the depot, bullets sparking off metal. Araya dove behind a rail car, clutching the vial. When she looked up, Lennox was gone. "Lennox." A voice came through the loudspeaker above the depot, smooth, cold, familiar. "Araya Johnson. You've been busy." She froze. It was the billionaire's voice. "Did you really think we didn't know where this would lead?" he said. "Your mother served her purpose. Now it's time you serve yours." The lights across the depot blazed on, and for the first time Araya saw the symbol painted on every container, a golden crest with the words "The Trust Foundation." As she turned to flee, she tripped, landing face first against a crate labeled with one chilling phrase: "Phase 5, Reclamation Subjects, Activate." The air inside the depot thickened with smoke and dread. Alarms blared as red lights spun above. Araya crouched low between the crates, clutching the vial of her mother's blood. Her heart thundered so loud she feared they could hear it. Across the floor, men in tactical suits moved in formation, black masks, silver crests on their shoulders. The same crest that burned in her memory from the envelope on her doorstep. One of them barked into his earpiece, "Phase 5 confirmed. Subject Alpha located." Araya's breath caught. Subject Alpha. They weren't calling her by name anymore. She crawled toward the far end of the depot, every muscle trembling. Somewhere above, the billionaire's voice still echoed through the loudspeakers, calm, cold, deliberate. "You can't outrun what you are, Araya. You were designed to survive. But survival without obedience is chaos. Her chest burned. "You think you own me?" she whispered. She darted behind a forklift, scanning for Lennox. No sign of him. Only gunfire, short, muffled bursts, followed by silence. Then she saw it, a laptop case lying near a fallen guard. The Trust's insignia gleamed on it. She snatched it, ducking behind a pillar. The screen still glowed, lines of data scrolling across. Project A, Recovery Protocol, Subject DNA Sequence Locked. Araya typed frantically, guessing passwords, clicking files. Most were encrypted. But one folder was open, video logs. She played the latest entry. The screen flickered, showing a sterile white lab. In the corner, her mother. Younger, exhausted, holding a child wrapped in a hospital blanket. The billionaire's voice spoke off-screen. "You understand the risk of keeping her alive." Her mother's voice cracked. "She's my daughter, Elliot. Not your experiment. She carries the one successful strain. If she survives, the Trust survives." The video glitched, then cut to black. Araya's eyes filled. "You used us," she whispered. Footsteps thundered closer. She slammed the laptop shut and ran, weaving through shadows, vaulting over crates. She could almost hear her mother's voice in her head. "Run smart, not scared." She reached a side exit, only to find Lennox waiting there, limping, a gun in his hand. "They took the back," he hissed. "We've got 10 seconds, maybe less." He yanked open a door to the freight tunnels. As they ran down the dark corridor, Araya's mind spun with a single thought. If her blood could unlock the Trust system, maybe it could destroy it too. Behind them, the depot erupted into fire. They barely made it into the tunnel before the explosion shook the ground like an earthquake. Metal rained from above. Dust filled the air. Lennox coughed, grabbing her arm. "You okay?" Araya nodded weakly. "I have something, my mother's blood, and proof they lied." He stared at her, eyes wide. "Then we don't just run anymore. We hit back." The tunnel lights flickered on, revealing soldiers blocking both exits, and one of them slowly pulling off his mask to reveal a face Araya thought she'd never see again. The unmasked soldier stepped forward, and Araya's breath caught. It was Tessa Caldwell. Alive. Her hair was shorter now, her eyes colder, but it was her, the billionaire's daughter she'd tried to save. Araya froze, torn between relief and disbelief. "Tessa." Tessa smirked. "You didn't really think I was in a coma, did you?" Lennox raised his gun, but Araya stopped him. "Why are you doing this?" Tessa walked closer, her boots echoing in the tunnel. "Because my father saved me. He saved both of us. You just don't understand what you are." Araya's pulse raced. "I'm not your experiment." "Experiment?" Tessa laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "You think I had a choice? My DNA was spliced with yours in the same lab. You're not just a subject, Araya. You're my genetic twin." The world tilted. Lennox whispered, "That's impossible." Tessa shook her head. "They never told you, did they? You were the control. I was the perfected copy." Araya's body went numb. Her mother's voice, Sloane's warning, it all connected. "The Trust made us," Tessa said softly. "But they don't need both." She signaled to the guards. "Take her alive." Araya bolted. Gunfire erupted, sparks flying off the tunnel walls. Lennox dragged her into a maintenance hatch. They crawled through the darkness, the echo of boots chasing them. "You good?" Lennox panted. "No," Araya gasped. "She's me." They burst out into an underground maintenance room. The walls were lined with old generators, humming faintly. Araya pressed her back against the wall, breathing hard. Lennox checked his ammo, nearly empty. "We can't outrun them." "Then we don't," Araya said quietly. She pulled the hard drive from her bag and held it up to the generator's main panel. What are you doing? Finishing what my mother started. She connected the drive's port to a power line, then took the vial of her mother's blood. This is the key, she whispered. It'll unlock every encrypted file, every secret the trust buried. Lennox shook his head. You'll fry the whole system. Exactly. The hatch behind them burst open. Soldiers poured in, led by Tessa. Araya pressed her finger against the vial, coating the sensor in blood. The hard drive blinked green. Data flooded the screens, images, documents, video logs, spilling out like confession. Stop her, Tessa screamed. Lennox fired, covering Araya as bullets ripped through the wires. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the room. Araya turned to Tessa, voice breaking. You said he saved you. He didn't save either of us. He built us. Tessa hesitated just long enough. Araya slammed her palm on the final key. The system overloaded. Lights exploded, the floor trembled, alarms wailed. Lennox grabbed her and dove behind a console as the room erupted in fire and code. The last thing Araya saw before the blackout was Tessa's face, frozen between anger and realization. When Araya opened her eyes, she was in an ambulance, handcuffed, and the billionaire himself sat across from her, smiling. The hum of the ambulance was steady, almost soothing, until Araya realized the sound wasn't coming from the road. It was a machine's hum. She tried to move, but her wrists were bound in steel cuffs, her head resting against a cold metal wall. Across from her sat Elliot Caldwell, immaculate in a dark suit, his hands clasped, his face calm like he was attending a board meeting. Welcome back, Araya, he said, his tone almost kind. You've caused quite the disruption. Araya's throat was dry. Where am I? Somewhere safe, he replied. For both of us. She glanced around. The ambulance was actually a reinforced transport vehicle. The windows were tinted black. There were no paramedics, no sirens, only security cameras and monitors displaying her vitals. Elliot leaned forward slightly. You remind me of her. That fire in your eyes. Your mother had it too. Don't talk about her, Araya snapped. He smiled faintly. She was brave, but she made a mistake. She thought she could protect you by hiding you from what you are. What I am. He pressed a button on the console. The screen behind him flickered to life, showing medical scans, DNA strands, and a photo of baby Araya. You are the first fully viable genetic hybrid in our series, he said quietly. The one who can adapt, heal, evolve. Araya shook her head. That's insane. Is it? He said, his voice calm, deliberate. Your blood survived diseases that killed millions in early trials. Your immune system regenerates faster than any known subject. You've lived 17 years without a single major illness. You are proof that humanity can be rewritten. Araya glared at him. You used my mother. He nodded slowly. And she used me. She stole you, erased the data, and ran. I spent years rebuilding what she destroyed, and now here you are returning home. Home? She spat. You murdered her. He sighed, almost regretful. She forced my hand. The trust must survive. The vehicle slowed. A steel door opened ahead, flooding the cabin with white light. Where are you taking me? To the facility, he said. There's still work to finish, and you're the key. Araya strained against her cuffs. You'll never control me. Elliot smiled faintly, almost sad. You misunderstand. I don't want to control you. I want to be you. Her stomach dropped. Before she could respond, a sharp prick hit her neck. Sedative. The last thing she heard before the darkness closed in was Elliot's voice. When you wake up, Araya, you'll understand why your life was never yours to begin with. As consciousness faded, she saw Tessa through the window, alive, unscarred, watching with a cold smile, whispering something she couldn't hear. Araya woke to the sound of machines breathing for her. Beep. Is. Beep. Is. She was strapped to a medical table, 4 lines in her arms, monitors tracking her pulse. The room was white, painfully white, with a single glass wall looking out into a lab full of technicians. Tessa stood on the other side, clipboard in hand, dressed in a lab coat. "You look good, considering," she said through the intercom. Araya tried to speak, but her voice cracked. "What do you want from me?" Tessa tilted her head. "Not from you. Of you." She pressed a button, and holographic screens appeared above Araya, each showing genetic sequences, organs, strands of DNA marked with code names. "This is your inheritance," Tessa said. "The Trust's ultimate goal was never just wealth. It was immortality. They built you and me as templates, vessels capable of hosting their consciousness." Araya's pulse quickened. "You're lying." "Am I?" Tessa tapped another button. The lights dimmed. A new screen appeared, a video feed. Elliot Caldwell stood inside a chamber, wires attached to his head. Scientists moved around him, adjusting dials. Tessa's voice echoed through the room. "He's dying, Araya. His body's failing. But his mind is ready to transfer." Araya shook her head violently. "You can't just steal someone's life." Tessa's tone hardened. "He gave you one. You're not human, Araya. Your legacy code in a body that was never supposed to exist." Tears streamed down her face. "Then why did you try to save me that night?" Tessa's eyes flickered, just a flash of guilt. "Because I thought I could still choose. But he found out." The screen behind her shifted again, showing security footage of that night on Peachtree Street. Tessa running, terrified. Elliot's voice yelling from a car. Araya kneeling beside her. "He found out," Araya whispered. "Those were your words in the message." Tessa nodded. "I tried to warn you. But now, there's only one of us who gets to live free." The door hissed open behind Araya. Elliot stepped in, now in a hospital gown, wires trailing from his scalp. His eyes were glassy but alive with strange calm. "It's time, my daughters," he said softly. Araya froze. "Daughters?" He smiled faintly. "You think I built one miracle? You're both mine, in blood, in code, in purpose. And today, one of you will become me." Araya's heart pounded as the machines powered up. Tessa turned away, her face unreadable. The room dimmed and Elliot's voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't fight it, Araya. You were never meant to survive me." The transfer chamber lit up, and for a brief moment, Araya felt her mind split in two. One screaming to live, the other whispering to surrender. Darkness wasn't empty. It was crowded. Araya could hear whispers swimming through her mind, her own voice layered beneath 1,000 others. "Don't resist. Accept. Merge." She tried to open her eyes, but the world came in fragments. Flashes of faces, blinking monitors, her mother's voice saying her name. Then Elliot's voice, not from outside but inside her. "You see, Araya? I told you, you were never alone in here." Panic surged. She wasn't tied down anymore, but her body didn't move the way she wanted. Every thought felt heavy, delayed, like she was fighting through syrup. "I'm not you," she whispered. "Not yet," he answered. "You're the upgrade I always dreamed of. Flesh that learns. Soul that obeys." The room around her flickered, shifting between the lab and an endless black void. She realized she was trapped inside the neural interface, the halfway world between consciousness and code. Then she saw something else, a door made of light. And on the other side, faint and shimmering, her mother's silhouette. Mama? The woman turned slowly, her smile weary but kind. He can't finish the transfer without your consent. He needs you to believe you're losing. Araya trembled. How do I stop him? Remember what I taught you about silence, her mother said. When the world tries to rewrite you, go still. Rewrite yourself first. Elliot's voice boomed through the void, furious now. She's a fragment. A memory. You can't trust. Araya clenched her fists. You should have killed me when you had the chance. The void rippled. Suddenly she was back in the lab, her body jerking violently against the table, alarm screaming. Elliot's body in the adjacent chamber convulsed. Override sequence, a technician yelled. She's rejecting the merge. Araya screamed, a guttural sound that shook the room. Electric blue light burst from her chest, shattering the restraints. Then everything went silent. She collapsed to the floor, gasping. The lab was in ruins, half the screens fried. Across the room, Elliot lay motionless, eyes open but lifeless. Tessa stood frozen, covered in glass and bloodlight. Araya, what did you do? I rewrote the code, Araya whispered. I didn't destroy him, I trapped him. Tessa frowned. Where? Araya looked up slowly. In the one place he can't escape, me. Her reflection in the shattered glass blinked after she did. 4 days, Araya wandered the ruins of the facility, half-conscious. The building was silent except for the occasional hum of dying machines. Outside, dawn spilled across Atlanta like new paint. Every now and then she heard him, faint, calm Elliot's whisper inside her skull. You think this ends with my death? You've only set me free. She ignored him, focused on breathing, on living. In the control room she found files, hundreds of them, marked Project Genesis. Each one contained names, photos, test results. Children. Dozens of them. She scrolled through until she found one labeled Subject B47, Tessa Caldwell. Araya's breath caught. He made you first. Behind her, Tessa appeared, bandaged, exhausted, still alive. I was the beta, she said softly. You were the perfect one. Araya turned the screen toward her. They used both of us. Tessa nodded. And now his mind's still alive inside yours. You can't keep him buried forever. Then help me finish it. They worked together, hacking into the central core. Araya's hands moved with strange instinct, her mother's code guiding her. She found the root directory, the trust archive. Every donor, every politician, every company that funded this, Tessa whispered. If we leak it, it all burns, Araya finished. But just as she prepared to send the files to every major network, Elliot's voice thundered through her head. You think they'll believe a black girl from nowhere? They'll call you unstable, dangerous. Exactly what I built you to be. Her hands trembled. Tessa grabbed her shoulders. He's lying. You're the story now. You survived him. That's your power. Araya hit send. The entire lab shook as data poured out into the world, millions of documents exploding onto public servers, exposing everything. But then, silence again. Tessa smiled faintly. You did it. Araya looked into the cracked monitor. For a split second, Elliot's face flashed back at her, smiling, proud. I told you, his voice whispered. We're the same. Araya punched the screen, shattering it completely. When the dust settled, the only reflection left staring back was hers, scarred, glowing faintly beneath the skin. I'm not your creation, she said. I'm your consequence. She turned, walking out into the sunrise as sirens wailed in the distance. Behind her, the facility burned, and inside the flames, a faint echo of Elliot's voice murmured, You can't delete a ghost. Her phone buzzed. A message appeared, no number, just text. There are others like you. Run. The highway stretched endlessly beneath the night sky, cracked asphalt glinting under flickering streetlights. Araya drove without knowing where she was headed, just away. Away from Atlanta. Away from the ghosts. Away from herself. The radio crackled with chaos, every station buzzing about leaked files, corruption, bioethics violations, and a mysterious teenage whistleblower whose identity remained unknown. She pulled into an abandoned diner off I-75, its neon sign half dead, the air thick with rain and silence. Her hands trembled as she poured coffee from a dusty pot. That's when the bell above the door jingled. A boy, maybe 17, walked in soaked, wearing a hoodie that looked 2 sizes too big. He froze when he saw her. "You're her?" he said quietly. Araya tensed. "I don't know what you're talking about." He smiled nervously. "You're the one who crashed the trust. You leaked everything." Araya's pulse jumped. "Who are you?" He lifted his sleeve slightly. A faint, glowing scar, same as hers, shimmered along his wrist. "My name's Kalen," he said, "and I think we were made in the same place." Before Araya could answer, the diner lights flickered. Static buzzed from the TV in the corner, and a blurred image filled the screen. Elliot Caldwell's face distorted and glitching. "You can run, but you can't hide from the network that made you." Araya grabbed the TV and smashed it onto the floor. "He's dead. He's gone." Kalen shook his head slowly. "No. His code lives in all of us. That's why I found you. There are more like us, 5, maybe 6. Some are hiding. Some aren't so lucky." Araya leaned against the counter, her breath heavy. "He said I was his legacy. Maybe he was right." "No," Kalen said firmly. "You're his undoing." He pulled out a small drive. "My mom was a programmer at the facility. Before she disappeared, she left me this. Said it could erase the trust network completely. But it needs your neural key to unlock." Araya hesitated. "And if it fails?" "Then it kills every last copy, including the ones inside us." The wind howled outside, rain slamming against the windows. Araya stared at her reflection in the glass, her mother's eyes staring back, steady and knowing. Finally she whispered, "Let's finish what they started." Kalen nodded. "There's a safe house in Tennessee. The others are waiting." They left the diner just as black SUVs turned into the lot, tires screeching. Shots rang out. Glass shattered. Araya slammed the gas pedal, tires spinning across wet asphalt. "Who are they?" she shouted. "Private contractors," Kalen yelled over the storm. "They want what's inside your head." The chase tore down the interstate, rain, bullets, chaos. One SUV flipped on the guardrail, another rammed their back bumper. Araya swerved, eyes blazing. "They can't have me. Not again." She hit the brakes hard, spun the car, and slammed into the lead SUV, sending both vehicles crashing into the divider. The world erupted in metal and light. When the smoke cleared, Araya crawled from the wreckage, blood on her forehead, drive still clutched in her hand. Kalen stumbled beside her. "You okay?" Araya smiled faintly. Still rewriting. Through the rain, distant headlights appeared, a convoy approaching fast. But instead of black SUVs, it was a van marked with red crosses. From it stepped a young woman who looked exactly like Araya. Araya froze. The woman in the rain looked like her reflection brought to life. Same eyes, same voice, same trembling breath. "You're one of them," Araya said. The woman nodded. "They called me Nova. I escaped before they shut it down." Kalen stared in disbelief. "There are more of you?" "Not anymore," Nova said softly. "I've been tracking the signal. It's spreading again. Elliot's code is replicating itself through old satellite servers. is trying to rebuild. Araya tightened her grip on the drive. Then we burn it all. They drove through the night toward an abandoned government bunker tucked deep in the Smoky Mountains. Inside, the others were waiting. 5 kids no older than 20 each, with faint glowing scars and haunted eyes. One of them, a girl named Zion, stepped forward. "You're the one who broke the trust." Araya nodded. "And now we finish it together." They set up in the control room, walls lined with dead screens and dusty cables. Kalen plugged in the drive. "Once we upload this, there's no going back. The purge will wipe every trace, and anyone carrying the code." "Meaning, all of them?" Araya looked around at the frightened faces. "No more running," she said. "We were built from lies, but we get to choose what comes next. We don't destroy what we are, we redefine it." Nova looked up. "How?" Araya stepped to the console, hands trembling. "By rewriting the code, not deleting it. We remove him but keep us." They worked together, merging code, rewriting lines, feeding their neural signatures into the system. The air buzzed with static and heat. Suddenly, Elliot's voice boomed through the speakers. "Clever girl. You think you can erase a god?" The room shook. Lights exploded overhead. The mainframe hissed as the virus pushed back. Araya screamed through the static, "You're not a god. You're a ghost." She slammed her palm onto the panel, her blood completing the circuit. The monitors flashed, images of her mother, of the street in Atlanta, of the lab, all swirling together before collapsing into pure light. Then silence. The machines powered down. The glow beneath their skin faded. Araya opened her eyes. Everything felt lighter. Kalen looked around. "Is it over?" Araya smiled faintly. "No. It's beginning." She stepped outside into the dawn, the sun rising over the mountains. For the first time in her life she felt human, not an experiment, not a survivor. Alive. In the distance, news helicopters hovered. Reporters shouted about mysterious power surges and mass data leaks exposing global conspiracies. Araya whispered to herself, "Let them tell the story. I've lived it." As she walked toward the light, her reflection appeared on a broken car mirror nearby, and this time it moved with her. But then, just before the screen cut to black, the mirror flickered once. For less than a second, Elliot's voice whispered, "Every code leaves a trace." Araya didn't look back. She simply smiled, because she knew the next rewrite would belong to her.